Welcome to Onto Something. Good day, everyone. I'm Jannie de Wet for the very first episode of the Onto Something podcast. Today, I am joined here by my recording magician, WD Jonker. We're at his house. Say hi there, WD. Don't be shy.
Hello.
Yeah, and we actually, if we sound less nervous than we do in the actual episode, that is because we're recording this afterwards. So we were so excited to get going, we forgot to introduce ourselves. Now you know who we are, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Thanks, Virya. Yo, that was my first mic check ever. What a journey.
Yes, man. This is so weird.
Yeah,
so weird speaking English.
I mean,
attempting to speak English.
We're doing our best, and I do think we're doing a pretty good job. I mean, that is, we sort of really falling into the elephant in the room. What's going on with these people? Why do they sound the way they sound? Right? Yeah. I mean, it is quite difficult for us to do this to some extent, I suppose. But
out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, out of your comfort zone a bit. But I think it makes you think a bit more maybe about everything you say. Yeah. Because if you speak Afrikaans, sometimes you just blurt things.
Yes.
But this slows things down a bit, which I think might help out actually.
Yeah.
And I mean, so the reason, what we're discussing is the fact that the two of us are, for those in South Africa, they will obviously know we are Afrikaans. And then for those outside of South Africa, we are two Afrikaans guys in the Afrikaans hotspot of South Africa, and then by extension the world, right? It's one of those things if you're the best in South Africa, you're the best in the world at that specific thing. So yeah, we two Afrikaans people in Bloemfontein, South Africa.
Yeah.
And we decided to, well, not actually decide. It feels like it was decided for us, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. It was bound to happen for both of us.
Exactly.
To do something like this. Yeah.
That's really the way that I feel about this, because I mean, I've sort of had this notion of starting a podcast going since beginning lockdown. I was I'm feeling frustrated, and I used to spend a lot of time driving and things, and now I need another outlet for myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it started for me, honestly. And I wonder if you look at the number of podcasts on Apple Podcasts or whatever, I think they've grown exponentially during lockdown. I think a lot of people are looking for ways.
I agree. Someone tweeted the other day, there's more people starting podcasts than there are people listening to podcasts at the moment. Yeah. Which I think is actually true.
I think that's the case, because I mean, myself, I know you're an avid podcast listener.
Yeah.
I do listen to snippets of other podcasts.
Yeah, I have to say the last while I haven't been listening to that many, because I used to listen to a lot of Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And since he's not on YouTube anymore, I don't know, it's different watching him on Spotify. It's weird.
Oh, is it? Is it a weird, do you feel like you're cheating
Spotify
on someone?
Spotify isn't a video platform, or they are now, but I mean, you're not used to thinking of them as a video platform. It's a new thing. They're a music platform.
Yeah. So do you think, I mean, I'm a Spotify man myself to some extent. Do you think it was a mistake of them to go this?
Not for him. He got the cash.
Yeah. He's not complaining, obviously. We actually wanted to speak about how this thing started.
Yeah.
So we were, how it happened. So this is where my idea. So tell me, where were you during this point? Did you also start having thoughts? Do you think Joe Rogan romanticized the idea of starting a podcast?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think he was the first person to convince the average person that podcasting can be a way to get crazy reach and make a huge success and awesome life for yourself. You can create it if you do that, or if you're successful in doing that. I think so, man. But he wasn't the first guy that started it, but I think he got it in front of
to be
people.
viable and
he got it in front
top
of
mind for people as well. So do you I mean, I guess it's weird for us to kind of have this conversation, but do you think that's part of what drives like this? Like,
The money,
would you
mean
like
money?
the money?
I don't think so. At least not for now.
Yeah.
I mean, like we won't get any money for at least
Exactly.
another few years, probably. So yeah, I think it's we're both doing it for something bigger than money.
Yeah.
Money is like a byproduct, hopefully. But even if it doesn't happen, and both of our lives allows it, I still want to do this.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking too. Like,
Yeah.
it's more about the sort of, because as you said now, like we both do this more for the enjoyment of it, because we're not expecting much from this. Like, if we can, in my opinion, if we can contribute to one person's life being like changed, like if we can get a listener who like
If one person can relate with us,
I dig this,
or,
and like he listens every week, and it's like changes his life or her life or whatever.
Yeah.
Then he'll be like,
worthwhile.
yeah, boy, we made it.
Yeah.
Like, it's successful now, right?
Totally.
So I mean, so you started thinking about podcasts.
So like about 2 years back, I'm gonna plug something now, lol. But hidden track session.
Yeah.
2 years back we started that.
It's a worthy plug.
And 2 years back we started that, and I thought by myself like, I wanted to do that because I was into recording, and I just thought like I have to do something, even if I do it for free, I have to do something a lot of times to get experience and get better at it.
Yeah.
And then eventually after that, I was thinking a lot about speaking in front of people, not like in front of crowds or whatever, but just like normal speaking to people, just getting how do you get better at it? And you just have to talk more, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, that also like made me think about like what's a way that I can practice speaking without like making it horrible to practice speaking.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
just around.
But I've heard that I've heard it be said that people who can speak a second language, when they speak that second language, is also some sort of transition happening.
Yeah, definitely.
Like your personality gets altered
There has
slightly
to
in
be-
a certain direction
There has to be different connected synapses in the brain, like
For each
that
of
links
those.
to different experiences.
I remember when I was in Amsterdam, I met this kid. I was a kid. Still I am a kid to some extent, I suppose. We should probably tell people how old we are at some point and like give them some context. But we'll get to that. I met this guy in Amsterdam, and he was just taking some Spanish classes. Like, he was like a week or whatever into it. So the only thing you could say was, "My name is." And then his name was, I can't even remember, to be honest. Like, it was just on a night out. They call it a borrel, like a party out.
Okay.
And this guy, when he got very drunk, the only thing he kept on saying over and over again was the Spanish thing from "Hi, my name is." And I think, as you say, like, it's that thing of learning a new language is like very deeply, like, it's a very deep process that happens. It's a new way of thinking, and you develop all these new synapses. So when you're switching to that part of the brain, it's like a new you. Like, there's a slightly different person.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's what I mean. That's what's interesting about South Africa. Like, we've got all of these like 11 official languages, right?
Yes, that's crazy.
And then you get people who can speak like multiple of those, like 4 or 5 or whatever. It's quite insane.
Yeah, it's changing a lot.
I sidetracked us again hard.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. I keep on sidetracking us like this. We're never gonna get through our story, but I love it. Because
I
this is
love
a
it
long,
too, dude.
this is a long story. This is
Yeah.
going to be a long conversation.
Anyway, that was just way back. I got that reasoning was like kind of happening in my mind, and so I was looking for a way to do it.
Yeah.
And then I had an idea for a podcast, and then I just couldn't do a project like that alone. Like, I needed someone, and I think that's kind of the same thing that happened to you. So like, it's so cool that like the podcast happened together before we knew one another, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's so cool, like the way things happen. It was just like, in a sense, it had to happen. Like,
Exactly. I mean,
it was bound to happen.
how we met each other was I was at a that Imoya mini music festival thingy.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, no festivals during these trying times of COVID. But I was at that thing, and I mean, normally I just start talking to like people all over the place, which is part of why I wanted to start this thing. Like, I'll stand around at like a shopping center and a random brother will come up to me and he's like, hello, this is who I am and where I'm from. And in the beginning I was like, this is strange behavior. Like, this is not how,
everyone's like that.
That's not the case for everyone.
Yeah.
And then I realized at some point, I almost want to say, not that it pissed me off, but it was like sort of working on like people would just introduce themselves to me. But then I started thinking of it as there's obviously something going on. So I should start playing to the strength of mine.
Yeah.
So by now, when a random comes up to me and like, hi, this is who I am, I just like run with it. Like, who
that's awesome,
tell me your story and who you are. And I mean, that's the idea with this, right? So like, I just want to get people on here who want to tell their stories, and there's no one who really wants to listen in some cases. In some cases, I just think they have a cool story, and like I've looked at them. And you get those people on, and like they bring a sense of perspective back to the listeners. That's the idea, basically. I feel like we've lost a lot of perspective, even from this whole COVID thing. Like, we're very like shut in our lane, and we just want to
narrow-minded or single-minded.
Yeah, like I mean, it's fair enough. I mean, it's tough times to survive. So if you need to use all of your self and energy just to get through this, and you don't want to grow now, that's fine. I mean, during harsh winters, a tree won't decide, okay, I'm going to shoot new branches like crazy now, because it knows it's going to like deplete its energy shooting into those.
Yeah. No, I agree, dude. But just on that note, I think there's so many people that like wasted the time they had in the lockdown.
Yeah, I think so, but you can't blame them.
No, I hear you, but like, I don't know. I think that's just maybe that's super negative now, but like, it was just something that astounded me. Like, it's such a waste of potential, and that saddens me. Like,
yeah,
because I mean. Yes, man. People can do crazy stuff if they set their mind to things. And, like, even if they just make small, like, really ridiculously small incremental steps each day, it'll take you so crazy for you won't believe it.
And I mean, it's been it's a year now. But, I mean, we're not really at the end of it. So it's going to be, like, 2 years out of...
Sure, yeah.
That's to some extent taken out of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at someone who like... That's a decent chunk to like.
What can you do in 2 years?
Yeah, like there's a decent. I mean, if we run with this thing, imagine this baby growing over the next 2 years. It can be so much fun. Like, I really see.
Dude.
Yeah, like it can also we can just try and reach so many more people, like with the stories and things. Like, that growth can just be insane.
Yeah, I think the reason why people waste their time is honestly just they don't believe in themselves. I think that's maybe the thing behind the scenes that's running a lot of that show. Like,
you think so?
I think, yeah, people don't know what they're
capable of.
And sometimes, like, a person just next to you can see it so clearly. Like, you're so good in this thing. Yeah. And then you will have this insecurities like, I have no idea how to do this. Like, I'm 1% there. And the other person's like, no, dude, you're like 90% there.
Exactly. Like,
get out of your ass.
We're really underplaying us. My dad and I was actually speaking about, just before coming here, we were talking about that exact thing. Like, we underplay ourselves hard in so many things. And that's, like, it's part of accountability, right? If you've got a friend who you'd expect, suppose you... start throwing your life away, like making shitty decisions, you'd expect a good friend to tell you, listen, man, you're making mistakes here. I feel like another part of accountability is if you see someone who's really, your friend is very good at something, like, tell them, like, I identified this trait in you. I think you should pursue that like further.
Give the compliments and
exactly.
Give the encouragements to when you get the opportunity to do that.
Because if prior to that we're all operating at like 70% because we're scared to throw all of that in, right?
I just wanted to say, I think it's a fear of change, essentially, because, like, you have to do something new to be able to grow. Like, if everything stays the same all the time, like, you won't ever grow. You have to, like, do something new once in a while. And
I mean,
get out of that comfort zone again.
that's the whole concept of growing muscles as well, right? You can't grow muscles. You can grow them doing the same thing over and over, as long as you make it like heavy or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you wanna create like real fitness and strength and mobility, you need to keep on changing it up. The minute it gets used to one thing, you throw something new in, and all of us, you're like, your body just we humans are very resilient creatures. I mean, that's one of our biggest traits. So whatever you throw at us, we're gonna survive it. I mean, for COVID, so imagine we were worried about the survival of the human species from COVID. We're far from that.
Yeah.
Like we're not worried about
surviving as a species.
As a species, like we're very far from that. So imagine the sort of devastation that has to rain down on us for us to start fearing like human wipeout. And you said we spoke earlier about like the tracking of these sort of like spatial and
planets
and stars and things. And you said they actually use Doppler in some instances.
Yeah.
To calculate like what's going on.
So everyone normally knows the Doppler effect of the ambulance, like coming closer and going away, and then the frequency goes up and down again. As it goes away, it gets more like warm, less cold, and when it's closest, it'll be like a more high frequency.
I feel like you're describing this, but you can just make us a sound. Give us your best motorbike. Give us your best motorbike impersonation.
Ambulance going by. They use the Doppler effect to see how far planets are from us, like by seeing how the color of the planet literally like changes.
That's
like
pretty
they
insane,
use that
though.
to determine like the distance between planets and crazy stuff like that. It's really cool.
It's crazy what like we've discovered, right? As you said, like us as humans have done these crazy things where we are now in a position where we can measure how far it is to like that thing that you see up there. It's about this far. Can you imagine us being able to? But it's the weird thing if you think
technology, dude. Technology is crazy, eh?
But the weird thing is it's basically what you said earlier. It's people just making the most of their time. So if you as a person can just make the best of your time, that's where you're going to end up.
Yes.
Because everything's just going to keep on growing by those little margins over many years. And snowballing like the meteor that's going to take out Tokyo or wherever it comes down.
I think meteor is actually the opposite term for snowballing.
Are you serious? Is that...
I just thought of it now. I don't know, but when it comes in, it's burning out. So it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
It's quite the opposite of...
And probably exponentially smaller, like a snowball gets exponentially bigger. I don't...
It probably does, actually, to be honest.
It was just the interesting thing to
because if you think of how it burns out, no, it really, really probably does. We were still talking about lockdown things and this podcast and how we...
sorry, that was me that got us off that
No,
track.
man.
Okay,
We're just running around this track, to be honest. And so we, at that music festival, started talking to all sorts of people. And then a friend of mine who went to primary school with me, he came up to me and he said, you're just standing here like talking to everyone the whole day. I'm like, I'm thinking of starting, but sort of jokingly, like, I'm thinking of starting a podcast, to be honest. And he's like dead serious. He looks at me, he's like, oh yeah, I've got a friend who also wants to start a podcast. I'm like, I was kind of joking, like I was 60% joking, 40% serious, but now you've got me thinking about this properly.
At that stage, I also was probably like 51% into it and like 49% jokingly saying it to people, because I was also like thinking about it, but I just wanted to start speaking about it to see whether I'm actually like into it. And as I started speaking, it just happened. So and here we are.
Exactly. It's one of those things where I think you can see when someone's doing what they like.
Yes.
And when someone's doing what they like, they tend to do it well.
Yes.
If you look at Robert Sapolsky, am I saying that correctly now? If you look at him lecturing, you can see this is someone doing what they were born to do.
Okay, he's a behavioral psychologist and a clinical behavioral psychology and behavioral biology also.
Yeah. Yeah, those are his fields.
Yeah.
So I mean, but then you see this guy lecture, and you're like, this guy's a rock star right now. Like those students are hanging, and I mean, we hanging on his lips, and he just has this like in his power, to be honest.
Yeah. Every minute he has off not teaching, he goes on like trips to Africa and studies
with the baboons and the gorillas and things.
Something, yeah.
Like it's crazy to see someone live that fire like that.
That's awesome, dude.
And I mean,
it makes you feel good just seeing them enjoying what they do.
Exactly.
Like, it's amazing.
And that's what the idea with this then basically was, to get people on here with that sort of fire and drive,
yes.
like just burning through them. And when you hear the stories of those sort of people, I mean, some of the people we'll get on will be people who have made it big, like who are successful already.
Yeah.
Some of the people we'll get on will be people like in the hustle, like fighting for that. But I mean, they will all know they're chasing what they love. Like that's the idea for me. Like we get people.
Cool.
And we can see like these guys.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. And what I also like is the fact that, I mean, we're not affiliated with anything organizations or anyone. Like, so we're just sharing our thoughts. So people know we're driving no agenda. We're not doing anything. This is not
trying to get anyone in the Illuminati or anything.
Yeah, we're not recruiting anyone into anything. Our main aim with this is just to give people that hope that other people's stories can bring you.
Yeah, and something to relate with. Just something that somewhere where you know someone's thinking like you are.
Yeah, exactly. Or someone's thinking completely the opposite of you, and it changes the way you think about things completely.
Yeah. But even if it just makes you think, I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah,
very much, like
definitely. Or even if it just helps you escape for a little while.
Yeah.
Because I mean, sometimes things can be quite hectic during general times, but especially during these times. And so if you can have half an hour in your day where you're just listening to someone else tell their story, and it helps you get out of your story for a bit, that'll be worth it as well, and like really help and contribute.
I'm thinking of something now that I think actually Joe Rogan said it. It's something in the sense of a great comedian is someone that you can trust enough that you can allow them to think for you, something like that. And I really liked it because I feel it's the same way with podcasting. Like that's like our role if I'm on the podcast or whatever, but whoever's like in front of a mic, it's your role to make people trust you enough that you can think for them and reason for them in the conversation with the other person. It's a cool.
That is a very cool way
philosophical.
That's a very cool way of thinking about it, because as like people are trusting you with their ears and brains for the next like while.
Yeah, they're giving you all their time. Why should they give you their time?
Exactly. So they're giving you, and then you should think for them, and they should then unplug from you. And you should have added something, like something should have changed somewhere, or the way they think about something, or the way they look at something should have changed.
Yeah.
And I think I like that. Or they should just feel happier, maybe.
Yeah.
Like even if you just like I listen to one podcast in particular, it adds nothing to me. Like I've learned nothing, I haven't changed my opinions on anything, but it makes me happy. That's all it does. Like it just makes me.
Is it
like,
funny?
It's silly and it's nonsensical funny. And it really sort of goes nowhere. I'd hate for them to hear me say this about them, to be honest.
I also wanted to agree, and then I was thinking, maybe I shouldn't, because if they I'll cry.
On episode 0, we make enemies with my favorite podcast, but maybe I'll just never mention their name. No, I think I should just now never mention their names.
Do you know Theo Vaughn?
No.
That would be mine.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like super funny, dude. And I haven't changed my mind, but I think about stuff. But just makes you feel good. It's so funny. Like
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
you just escape for a bit, and
he's a stand-up comedian actually. Yeah. So
very
it's
cool.
Very funny.
Yeah, and then he, like, you, as you say, you give him your brain for a bit.
Yeah.
He juggles with it in his way,
Yes.
and then you take it back, and then you feel better.
Yeah, it's like a waste of time, but not, because you feel better. Yeah.
It's very interesting, the sort of basic human things that we chase, right?
Yeah, dude.
Like I read somewhere an article about how they say the internet and technology, that sort of thing, and like instant gratification is very much the enemy of that, like, progress thing, kind of, because now as a human you've got like a few basic needs, right? So you want to eat, you want to be safe, you want to procreate, and you want, to some degree, there's some form of aggression, like you fighting and like competing, that sort of thing.
Like a sense of adventure, or
Yeah.
something that's like an adrenal outlet.
Exactly. That sort of, exactly that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And now with the age of internet, you can get all of that from your couch, because you're sitting on your couch, like, it's safe, like you're in your house. There's, even in South Africa, I mean, you don't really ever feel unsafe in your space.
Yeah.
I think if we have any people listening from overseas, I mean, they might have a certain view of South Africa and how it is here, but it's like in your space you know where it's dangerous, but you don't feel unsafe in.
Yeah, I think I'd have to just say, like, there's still like more better and worse, like, cities though.
Yeah.
Like there's some sketchy places and sketchy parts of cities, but I think like that's everywhere. Like even in New York, there'll be a place that's like super sketchy, even wherever.
We just know to stay out of those places.
Yeah, so I think it's the same as a lot of overseas places in a lot of ways, actually. Or
No, definitely. I mean, so you're feeling safe. You're feeling, you Uber Eats yourself food, so you've got food. Then you play some games with your friends online. You get that sort of social box ticked off. And also you play like a shooter game or whatever. So you get that adventure, like, I did something, like today I went on adventure. I went to war today, basically, if you're playing Call of Duty or whatever you're playing. And now my flatmates are into this Valheim thing now. Quite insane. Yeah, no, very cool.
Cool.
Like a Viking simulator, basically.
Okay.
But now you're ticking off all those boxes.
And even like do things like porn. Like,
sorry, that was the last. That was the last one. So your sexual gratification you're getting from porn. Now the animal part of our brains, which has been the part that has been running this system for like the longest time, like
the amygdala.
We're only getting. Humans have been around for very long, and we only at like the very tip of that, like sort of the modern human, I suppose, if you want to call us that. And now you've got us having access to all of these instant gratification things, but it's still being run and maintained by this animal brain of ours. And so you're ticking off all those boxes. Like, I just had a big meal. Like, I'm a good hunter. I just killed 3 goats and 2 Vikings and pillaged a city. So I'm like a strong warrior. And then the last one is, then you turn to porn and you have that experience.
Yeah.
I just made it with an attractive like partner.
Yeah.
And your brain is...
Or the sense of it, or the
exactly.
the illusion of it.
And your brain is firing up. It's like, you did good today.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of our brains also want to conserve energy. So you don't want to spend... If you can find a way to do that, that's cheap energy-wise, you're like, let's go. I mean, your energy, your body moving, that's an energy bill, right? Food is an energy bill. If you buy food, you're basically just paying...
Yeah, you're changing money for energy.
Yeah, you're exchanging money.
And some experience.
For energy.
Probably.
And then some, like some nice taste and some culture.
In the first century, you didn't pay much for experience.
I don't think that time. Like, I think the like first century cuisine life was pretty limiting.
I think they just try not to be seen as a wedge.
Your
main priority.
Your main priority is not being accused of being a wedge. Like, you just avoid counting in front of people, and then you probably be safe because crazy time. Imagine. And I mean, that's relatively long ago, but it's not that long ago, right?
Oh, true.
And now we're here, everything's changed, and your brain's running on this in this new times, but it's still very much an old agey brain.
Yeah. Dude, can I say something on that note?
Yeah, of course.
It's really cool. Like, I'm super into Elon Musk, dude. You'll hear me speaking about him every time I'm in a conversation with you.
Yeah,
I love that guy. But he explained it like really well, the amygdala, like the animal part that you were speaking about, the animal part of your brain, the core part with the emotional and the core needs kind of desires, whatever. And then the prefrontal cortex or the frontal cortex, that's like the evolved part when you're like getting to be an adult, and which that's the part we actually think and decide what we want to do and plan the duration, path, and outcome. I think it's the three things I normally say.
Okay.
Like the way you plan out to do things, you like are organizing your life and making plans for the future, all of that. But we think that part's in control. But that's where we're so wrong. Like, the animal part's still running our lives, and we don't realize it. We think like the thinking part of the brain is in control, but the dumb part of the brain is actually running your life. Like, even if you want to do like the craziest coding thing, you can't do that if the animal part wants
not
food
on board
now. Like, no matter, like, if the animal part wants food now, you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
If you have opportunity to have sex and whatever, like, or whatever the thing is, like, your brain,
animal part will take over.
The animal part's gonna take over. You can think you're in control of your brain, but and so the same thing's happening with with Elon Musk and them now with the Neuralink. So there's a third layer coming on top of the smart part, and that part will be way smarter still. But that part will be controlled by the frontal cortex and will still be controlled by the animal part. Even though we're like getting into computers and crazy stuff.
Yeah, so the outside part
still be running your life. So
he's not going to...
The animal part, although it doesn't speak computer language, will run the computer's life.
That is very, very crazy.
Cool, eh?
So the animal part will still be the principal driver of everything that happens through Neuralink.
Until Neuralink can get deep enough into the brain where they can maybe chemically, or maybe just through the electrons firing or whatever, if they can, with the probes, whatever, can stimulate the deepest parts, because then they can manipulate the animal part. Then you can like program your animal part to change different. But it's very complicated to get to that level of the brain without affecting the outer sides, like, in any way. So it's like a long process, but I think there's going to happen crazy shit in our lifetimes, dude. Like, I don't think there's going to be eye doctors in 50 years or from now. I don't think there's so many, like radiologists.
Yeah.
Why would we trust your eyes? If I can trust a computer, they can see every pixel.
Much better.
I'm gonna have a computer. I don't need a radiologist. AI is better. Why would a person drive? The AI is better. Why would a person whatever?
You think people aren't going to care about eyes anymore?
No, it's just going to be replaced already. Like, you won't ever have glasses or
use of that.
They're gonna fix a lot of stuff now. There's a lot of breakthroughs in that. There's a guy, Andrew Huberman. Sorry, I'm ranting like crazy.
No, I love it.
Go check out Andrew Huberman. He's a ophthalmologist and a neuroscientist, and he speaks a lot about
your wife is an optometrist, right?
Sorry,
your wife is an optometrist.
So she's an optometrist.
Yeah.
So like glasses and contact lenses. But he's an ophthalmologist.
Yeah,
so
which is like a doctor that specialized in
specialized eyes, yes.
Yeah.
So my wife also works for an ophthalmologist. Okay. Which is really interesting. So
that's why you're so clued up on the world of eyes.
I try to like learn from it, but I'm not that good with biology though. But the Andrew Huberman, definitely go check his stuff out. He has a lot of cool there's a lot of cool interviews with him. Like I think there's like 20 podcasts that I've seen.
What is
different
it? What
ones
is he?
that has spoken with him about all of his stuff. Yeah, he's the ophthalmologist and neuroscientist. And I think he actually works at Stanford as well. And he's like super into the most futuristic stuff and current crazy studies with eyes and with
Like on the
brains
cutting
and
edge of
stuff.
everything.
Like amazing stuff, dude. Amazing stuff. Yeah, but go listen to his
Is
stuff.
he involved with Neuralink as well, or is there no affiliation?
No, he speaks a little bit about it sometimes, but like he has friends in Neuralink,
Okay.
like colleagues. It's also like neuroscientists or whatever. That so he knows about some of the stuff more than the average person.
You're saying colleagues in Neuralink now?
Sorry?
You're saying colleagues in Neuralink now. Imagine when it rolls out one day, like officially, and you can plug into it. Like you're gonna have people who's in, like, you know, when the internet came out, apparently people asked each other, like that was before we started using computers. But apparently people spoke like, "Are you on the internet?" That's
Wow,
that's how
crazy,
people are going
man.
to talk about Neuralink, right? It's
Are
like,
you on Neuralink?
are you on the Neuralink? Like, so you said he has colleagues in Neuralink, obviously working for Neuralink.
Yeah.
But at some point we're going to talk like that. Like, my friend just got the new Neuralink.
Well, dude, I mean, they're starting this year with people already.
Are they? That is hectic.
They're bringing out products this year.
I feel
But
like
the-
I
but
feel
the
like it's a
thing
very
is-
big jump from pigs to.
It is crazy, but I mean, with the pigs that but the concept has been proven like way, I think like a lot of years ago.
Yeah, so you just
Actually.
knew it's the time now.
But the thing that they did is they were able to do it a factor of 10 better than the previous people that tried to do it. So like with the previous people, maybe they had like 10 or 10. What's it? I forget the name. Like probes in the brain.
Yeah.
To stimulate the monkey or something. Like they have 1,000 wires that they put in your brain.
Okay.
So that factor makes a like big difference between what you can do with all those probes.
Yeah,
Amount
yeah,
of
that makes
changes you
sense.
can create in the brain, or just the amount of stuff that you can,
Data you can read.
observe from the brain. So that's really cool. And another thing that's really interesting to me, like coming from a medical kind of technician workplace,
Yo,
is like the amount of the amount of breakthroughs that's gonna happen in brain research just because of the Neuralink. Because I mean, up to now, like you have MRIs and CTs and all of that,
yeah.
but it's really difficult sometimes to follow exactly the path of a certain neuron firing or something like that. So like if you have wires like in the whole brain,
Yeah.
you can like, I think it's going to be way more possible to trace the flow of electrons in the brain and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be huge for research. I think the next 50 years is going to be crazy, dude.
I think so too.
I'm so psyched to be alive in this time.
Yeah, no. So I don't know whether I read an article on. So actually, because of my job, it's weird how our day jobs feed into this conversation now. But that's cool. I mean, I
love it.
That's why you've got other things going as well, right? So
Yeah, to keep stay interesting.
I guess so. Like we just keep on doing things to stay interesting, right? But we've got like continuous professional development sort of things, and then I had to read an article, and this article was titled "The Second Half of the Chessboard."
Okay.
And what the concept is about is, I think it's Boyle's law, which says that every 2 years processing power doubles.
Hold on. I'll get back to you. I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know. Yeah.
So you know the concept, right?
Yeah.
Now what they
Moore's law.
Moore's law.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Boyle's law, I think, is something with gas, to be honest, like that we did in
Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
like physics. So what they're saying about the second half of the chessboard thing is we are now, since the development of computers, no idea exactly
Yeah.
when that is, but we are now about 30 cycles into that. And where the chessboard story comes in, it's that story of the Chinese king, and this peasant came to him and he said, I've developed this game called chess. I don't know whether you've heard the story.
I don't know.
And
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
And the king was like, so tell me what prize do you want? Like, I love this game. What can I offer you? And the peasant was like, no, I'm just like a poor man. All I want is you to put one piece of rice on the first block, 2 pieces of rice on the second block, then 4, 8, 16, and then just fill out the chessboard for me, please. And the king was like, what a humble man. Like, he brings this fantastic game to me, and all he wants for payment is like a few grains of rice. Like, what a gentleman. And then that exponential growth is out of control.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, then it quickly grows to like something in like suppose all the rice production of China for the last 10 years, basically. Just because the human brain doesn't comprehend that sort of exponential.
I want to know what's the final amount.
You can actually check that. Check that for us. But what the second half of the chessboard refers to is that story, and they're saying so we 30 doubles in now. So the pile of rice it's big.
Jeez.
Like it's crazy when you look at it and when you look at the last pile of rice. But where we're going now, that's going to be out of control.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I agree.
Like, did it crash? Did your phone say not today?
No, it didn't crash. I didn't check now. I'll check later. But I know it's like a crazy amount.
It is an insane amount, and that's what's going to happen now. So up until now, the growth has felt linear that we've observed, and you can sort of make sense. Like, I had this phone last year, and next year I'll like upgrade, and this is about what I can expect. Like, it will probably be twice as good. I mean, I bought a phone now after 4 years again, and I bought it for the same price that I bought this 4 years ago, and it's 2 times as good.
Yeah,
everything's exactly. Even some cards.
Isn't it more?
Everything down to SIM cards. Like, it's got 2 SIM cards. It's double the storage, double everything.
Yeah, double the RAM, double the processing.
And half the price.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
So now extrapolate that into over our lifetime now, and we're going to see some
but that's exactly what's happening. Like, on the Elon Musk thing again. That's with Teslas. Like, you're going to make more money from your car than what you pay to get the car. That's what's happening with Tesla. Like, you have the option. You can just say, like, people can use my car, and then Tesla will like itself manage your Tesla. The autopilot will manage everything. The person can't steal your car or anything. Like, there's a lot of safety, and you can like get your car washed automatically, like after the days like driving people around, and then it comes and fetches you to go home again. But then you make more money with your car than your car costs you.
So while you're at work, your car's driving other people around and they pay into your account. That is insane. Like, I was underestimating the potential of this by a million. So at some point, you're not going to buy a car for yourself. You're just going to if you can buy a car, you just buy it, or you're going to. Like, Uber is nothing. Like, what's Uber?
Short range or something, But I mean, like, in South Africa, it's still like going to take a while because we don't have the infrastructure for electric vehicles being like used for long distance trips, driving.
And like, we don't even have roads in many places. I mean, like, even just down the road here, that like Duplessis, like, the roads are rough.
Yeah, no.
So sure, I can imagine you don't want your like something as sensitive as that to just be running along like a pothole.
But dude, I just wanted to say, like, on the pothole thing, I was underestimating how many potholes there are in America.
Oh, is it? Is it quite
like
rough?
Dude, we always think the grass is greener everywhere else.
No.
Like, everyone is a pothole. Like, it's worse at places, but I mean, like, I don't think their full self-driving AI would need to adjust for South Africa at all, actually. The only difference is going to be you have to say your left side drive it, not right.
Yeah, but that's like a syncing thing.
Only setting.
What about something...
That thing will know exactly what to do.
What about, I mean, thinking of the reverse, for example, if we had to develop it here and then send it over there, they've got rules about buses, school buses. You're not allowed to drive within a certain distance of a school bus, for example. Do you think those rules will just... Will they have to look at the rules in every country, and you'd basically have to update your South Africa pact, like also on speed limits? Where do you think speed limits will still apply even? Or will these things...
Initially, yes, but then eventually, like, I think it's going to like depend what's the ratio of like AI to people driving. Yeah. So like, if that gets to like, I think 90% is AI is driving.
Like herd immunity. Once we reach herd immunity
going up, but I mean, I think it's going to take a long while to get everything on AI.
Yeah.
I think that's going to take like maybe 150 years or like super long.
Yeah.
But I think AI is going to happen. AI driving without people in them, like, will happen in like 10 years easy.
So,
But like 20 years South Africa.
what do you think about the grondpad though, like a sync road?
I think
Because that's the thing I don't think they have. I've watched
I
Mythbusters
think
where
they
they
do,
invest.
dude.
No, like I've watched the
they don't have
Mythbusters
as many
episode.
as we do.
Yeah,
Definitely not. And I think, but I think they still do. Like it's not
like
it's
in
not
these small towns.
only in South Africa that there's like
And do you think Tesla handles that fine as well?
Yeah, I mean, because they're making trucks, so like the trucks
the
has
trucks
to
are
work on
yeah.
farms and shit. So like they would have to like incorporate everything.
This is insane.
It's really
So
cool.
it's going to be
dude.
very simple
So,
for them just to transfer it over.
I really don't think it's going to be that
Yeah.
big a like problem.
It's going to be nothing. Like
Like
everything.
even the different types of like gravel road, like the sunk part.
Yeah,
what-
exactly. Like optimize that.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, like, but yeah, the tires is the like, dude. If you can revolutionize tires, you'll change the world.
I've seen the people who have the. Have you seen the ball tires?
There's a lot of really cool stuff without the air.
Without the air, I think. Yeah. So it's
I
just
don't
like.
know. I've seen a few, but I haven't seen all of them. I don't know that technology. I haven't studied it or whatever. But
I've read this ages ago. So this was a very, very long time ago where they already had this ball, and what it does is it has sensors on it as well, and then it checks the tread of the tire, and because the ball can decide to rotate whichever way it wants, it keeps on optimizing itself.
oh, cool,
So as you get
yeah.
worn the way you're spinning now, you just turn on your axis a bit, and now it's basically a completely new tire.
That's
and then you
cool.
turn a bit, and then it's a so you're actually using less rubber and things to so the initial tire is very expensive, but then it runs way longer.
That's crazy. That's the thing with Tesla. Like nothing breaks.
Yeah,
In 10 years, you're gonna have to replace all your batteries. But other than that, like your brakes gets better. Your filters are like, because it's a electromagnetic brake. It's not an actual physical brake. So nothing like wears and stuff. It's electromagnetic. So and it gets better at braking.
No, but surely
because
there's still
an AI
something-
analyzing how to create more traction or less traction.
but surely there must still be something that. What stops it?
A magnet,
Attracting to what though?
just a piece of metal.
That's where.
on the like I'm gonna mess this up completely, but just for the sake of argument, I'll imagine what it is.
Yeah, so there's a
But
magnet spinning and then
if
you attract on this
if
side.
you can imagine like a disc, like with a disc brake, and there's a disc on both sides, and then on the disc somewhere there's a piece of
Yeah.
that's so when it comes close, you make it magnetic for a while, so then it holds it back a bit, but it keeps on going. So you can brake,
yeah.
brake release to create a certain type of brake experience even.
That
so
is
like,
insane.
Yeah.
But then
And like,
How-
so if you imagine that, but then you have that on all around the piece of metal, you have a bunch. So then you can like create
a very
super
very smooth braking
perfect
experience.
braking system
That is
never
insane.
wears, that gets better.
But surely it
with
still
machine
wears though,
learning
doesn't
over
it?
time.
Because there's still forces working in on those. Because there's the
It's a magnetic field. Just a magnetic field working with
but a magnetic field can surely still tear something apart, like if it's strong enough.
Yeah, but they don't make it too strong. They know what they're doing. So like, yeah,
So it's like
you just create like it's energy being put into a magnetic field doing something,
that is insane.
and then it
Just slows it down
and then it yeah. So the energy gets transferred like that.
up to the point of breaking it. Like, and as you say, like you can customize your fire in
Like,
this order, and then
you'll
you know
change like 1 or 2 air filters on the servers,
that is insane.
and then like maybe you'll still every 40,000 k's or whatever you'll change tires, but like that's it.
I read
That's why they have a 10-year warranty or infinite mile,
warranty. So in that 10 years, it can just
because it's only because of the batteries.
yeah.
It's the only part that
It's the only
goes.
part. That is
Other
very
than the tires though, and then like small air filters, it's like $100.
because I read a thing this morning actually of someone who bought a 2014 Tesla, and although it was on that Quora site, and someone asked, is it worth buying a 2014 Tesla with? I think it was like 95,000 Ks.
Yes, dude, definitely.
And someone said, I can't remember whether it was 95, so that might be wrong. But someone said like he's got his, It's got no difference from the way it drives. The only thing, as you said, weirdly enough, the only thing he said he had to replace was batteries, and I think actually filters, like you mentioned. I know you remember 2 things, but I'm not sure whether the second one was filters. Had to replace 2 things. Maybe it was tires. Had to replace 2 things, and it's still going. The only problem is it does not have the autopilot. So autopilot apparently launched
for the upgrade system.
Yeah, autopilot launched in October 2014. So he's still, and also the touchscreen or the display, it's slightly bubbly, and the leather seats are slightly worn.
Okay. Yeah.
As you, I mean, that's the only way it gets. Then is you physically getting in and out of the car. That is insane,
dude. Yo, I can rant about that. Go favor.
Yeah,
the only one
I do think he is going to pop up in a lot of our conversations. Because I mean, we're gonna talk to a lot of wide-ranging people.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've got.
There's a lot of things that relate to him in ways as well.
So we're gonna get like music people on, but he's still gonna be relevant always, no matter who we get on, because it's just such a wide-ranging base that he's covering basically. So yeah, I mean, we were just talking outside, and you were explaining to me one of your big drives and passions, and I thought that would be nice to for the listeners to get to know the man who's behind the scenes on onto something. So do you want to elaborate on that a bit?
I really want to make a dent in the world, especially using tech.
By dent, you obviously mean a good dent. The nice dent. Sort of dent. Not someone want to watch the world burn sort of dent.
Yeah, exactly. And through tech, by that I mean making an app that makes someone's life way better, or something like that. Yeah. Or anyway, even if it's just for guitarists, something that makes the process of setting up your pedal board or whatever just a way to change people's lives for the better.
My mom used to work for the Society of the Blind, and they actually, someone at the Technikon, they developed a walking stick that were something similar, and they gave it to one of her. So she had a guy working with her who was blind himself, and he did the thing where you go out to schools of people who, newly blind people, and you orient them, you teach them how to live with this new disability. It's quite a noble work to do, right? I mean, someone has just lost their eyes, and now you go and teach them how to cope with it. I mean, it's now that's the new normal now.
But on the blind thing, I have to say, that's a reason why I won't invest that much into it at this point of my life, is I don't believe there's going to be people that are blind in
need eyes soon.
In 20 years. I don't think there's going to be blind people. Yeah. That's again that Andrew Huberman. Go listen to that dude. Yes, dude, they're on the cutting edge of technology and eye surgery and all of that. One of the things I can tell you about him that I remember now is they found a way where the person is blind, but he's not blind because the eye isn't working. He's blind because the connections between the eye and the brain is weak. Then they put on VR glasses on the blind person and use specific light to stimulate those specific connections between the brain and the eye. They give it a specific type of light or whatever to exactly stimulate the nerve to get stronger. And then eventually, by shining light into the eye, they create a better connection between the eye and the brain, and eventually the person can see.
The teaching,
stuff like that. I'm probably butchering this whole thing. Yeah. But something in that way.
That is insane. Crazy, though. You practice that you exercise a muscle, you exercise that nerve
for the brain
constantly over and over and over, and then after a while it gets stronger, and then you can see again. Probably not perfect sight, but you get something back.
Why not?
Do you think it's perfect?
Yeah.
That is insane.
Because it's just a matter of time. If you keep on practicing, it'll get to the normal state again.
Yeah, I suppose that is possible. So I mean, what happened to my mom's employee, or the guy who worked with her when he had to demo this walking stick, is they forgot to put in any sensor whatsoever They had a sensor that looks forward and to the sides and things, but they didn't have anything that looks downwards. In the end, he walked into a hole because the thing like was looking to the sides and to the front, but not looking down at all. Classic engineering like mistakes. Like we're thinking of everything, but there's always that one thing that comes up and surprises.
All different conversation, but like a philosophical way of thinking that I really like is don't plan something for like years. Do it. Just do it. Such a cliche than like just do it, whatever. But get busy, get your hands dirty, and get into it. Like if you made the first one and you give it to someone, and then they can test it and tell you exactly all the problems. And so, like, you don't have to make a million of something the first go at it.
That's what you told me about the podcast as well.
Do one, dude. Wing it, see what the problems are, and then you fix the problems and go on.
Yeah.
But get busy. Like, I like that way of thinking.
Because I was very apprehensive about this, and you were like, just show up and we do it, and then we see how it is.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot. It really is a good way to think about it.
Yeah, just go with it.
So that's sort of, I've got this little routine that I do. And it kind of feeds into this. So whenever I shower, the last minute of my shower, I go ice cold. Like only cold water for 1 minute. Because I got my watch on and then I stand there. I'm like 1 minute. Now that it's summer, it's relatively easy. It's not that cold. But when it gets to winter, it's tough. It really is tough. And the first time I did it, I was like, I don't want to do this. Like this sucks. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be painful. It's going to be like not fun. And then I did it, and I was fine the first time. Now I've done it hundreds of times. Every single time I do it, it's still like, this is not going to be fun. Like, this is going to suck. It's going to not be lekker. I'm not going to enjoy this. But then you do it. And the reason I do it now is not, so it started off with sort of a health benefit thing, like this is good for your muscle recovery and that sort of thing. But by now, it's much more a thing of doing it for the mental strength that it gives me. Because now when I'm walking and I see, because this is something that bothered me a lot, you see someone standing next to the street and something tells you, greet that person or smile at them or ask them, can you help? You see old Tanny walking with the bags, ask her, can I help and carry your bags? But we often cut ourselves off from those interactions because it's just that moment of let's do it.
Yeah.
And that shower every morning is sort of a reminder, like, it's going to suck, but when you push through it, or it might suck, but you're going to survive. The worst thing that can happen is not that bad at all.
I think it relates a lot to the intermittent fasting. I know you do intermittent fasting. So with that, it's you're breaking you're challenging the animalistic part of you. Like, you have to change your habits because it's such a challenge to not eat.
Yeah.
Like, if you eat 3 meals a day and you have to skip one.
When there's food over there.
If your habit's 3 meals and you have to skip one. If you have to skip 3, that's hard.
Yeah.
But if you keep fighting that fight with your, I don't know, your ego or your inner self or whatever, I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
But if you keep on fighting, it gets easier. It gets easier to discipline yourself.
It is tiring because on days where I'm fasting, my body's fine. I've had some of my best runs on fasting days. I'm really fine with that. What struggles is my mind. I get moody. I get like irritable, fighting with myself. So there's this theory of, you said the ego. There's a theory called ego depletion theory. And what it says is, there's been various studies like proving and disproving and whatnot.
Okay.
But what it says is that we've got a limited amount of self-discipline. That ego. So you've got like a mana pool basically.
Okay.
Now you want to do something. You want to eat. Now you're telling yourself you're not allowed to. That takes away some of that ego, that energy. And what this theory says is that this pool is limited over all aspects of your life. It's not that you've got ego for exercise and ego for this and ego for that.
Yeah.
So when you're disciplining yourself, you're going for a run when you don't want to go for a run, you're using some ego. And that's why later when you get back home, now you want to have a cookie. You might not have any juice left to say, no, you shouldn't have that cookie.
That relates to I think it's Mark Zuckerberg actually that does this also. Like, he only wears the same clothes every day.
Yes.
Like, I love that. I have like a bunch of the same shirts. Also, like I love that. I have the same type of pants that I wear every day. I have the same pair of shoes that I wear. I love that.
Like it's like option overload, right? So
Yeah,
if
it's
you
like
need to
how
make
much
so many
attention you can
choices,
give. Also,
Yeah.
how much attention do you have
It's
to
attention,
give to things
actually.
today? On how many things can you focus today, or you only have that many minutes a day that you can really focus, or yeah.
and you don't want to waste any of that on choosing what to wear, what to
Exactly.
eat, you want to use that
Yes.
on things that's going to change your life.
Yes.
That makes a lot
I
of
like
sense.
that. That makes a lot of sense to me. Well, I feel that it like works.
Yeah,
If
I've seen
I
that
try to
mentioned
think like
again on Quora. There's often questions like, "What can I do to change my life?" And this often comes through. Gratitude is the one thing that often comes through, like have a gratitude journal or something. And the other one is this: eliminate the option fatigue from your life, because you now just take away.
That's a right term. Yeah.
Yeah, just-
option fatigue. That's
Just
cool.
take away the option. Like there's this weird concept as well. They call it the choice paradox. So what this comes down to is if you have someone, suppose 10 years ago there was one pair of jeans. Everyone had the same pair of jeans. Now if you wanted to go buy a pair of jeans, what pair of jeans did you buy? The one pair that there was, right? So then you got home and it was kind of not perfect. It was not fitting perfectly. It was a bit tight here and a bit loose there, but it was the only jeans there were, so you had to be happy with it. Now in the last 10 years, they've brought out also skinny jeans and bootleg and all those sort of like straight cut and various different types of jeans, right? So now you've got this choice between all the jeans you want. Now the choice you make, now you choose, you go to the shop, you buy a pair of jeans. You end up with a pair of jeans that's definitely better than the pair you would have ended up had you no choice. So if there was only one pair of jeans, you're better off than in that scenario, right? But because you made a choice.
In terms of the option fatigue.
Excuse me?
In terms of the option.
No,
fatigue.
not in terms of option
Okay.
fatigue. In terms of what that pair of jeans offers you.
Okay.
So it's a better fit. It fits
Yeah,
nicer
okay.
than the stock standard
Yes,
one, right?
Okay. It's better for preference.
Yes,
Yeah.
but now a month in, you feel okay. No, but it actually sits a bit stiff on my calves. I should have gone for the bootleg jean. Now you actually end up. The more choices you give someone, the less satisfaction they actually get. It can happen that they derive less satisfaction from those choices. Even though they're better off than they would have otherwise been, they're less happy because now they had to choose, and I made a bad choice. If you can only buy one pair of jeans, it's not your fault. That's the one pair of jeans there is. It's shitty and it is what it is.
Yo.
But if you have to now go out and you chose this one, and now it's bad, you're like, it happens in a lot of things. I mean, to a certain extent, the choices that we have now, living in the era we're living in, is much more than anyone ever had in the history of
It's crazy.
life,
dude.
right? I mean, we're
We
so
have what
versatile.
Kings didn't have.
Exactly.
You know, it's
we have so
crazy.
much going for us. Just look at us sitting here. We're
Yo.
living a king's life. Like you
Yo.
go to a fridge, you take out a cold beer. Like what is that?
Yo. Yes.
And now we need to start looking for choices in like, now we start looking for choices in other things, because when 1,000 years ago, the only thing you worried about was, where am I going to get food for tonight? Like how am I going to survive
Yo, what
the
do I
next
have to
week?
hunt?
Like like,
Yo.
and now we've gone past that point, and now we've got all of these other choices, and that could be why so many people are like miserable today. Like force a life on me, and that's the life I live, and I'll be kind of okay with it. But now I chose what I want to do as a career. I chose to some extent where I want to stay, and you choose who you want to marry, and you choose all of these things. But you see, like overall, you're less happy than you would have been if they were just forced on you.
Wow.
I'm not saying we should have forced marriages or anything. Like, I think those are interesting.
Arranged man.
Interesting arrangements to have. I was
Yeah.
talking to a friend like 2 weeks ago probably, and there are people they're approaching their 30s now, and they've not had any relationships whatsoever, and now they want to. I asked him, I mean, you're talking, this is a good friend, so you're talking like straight talking and it's like, would you, suppose you reach 40 and there's still no one, would you be willing to enter into like a arrangement? Like she knows what she's entering into. She's getting, because he's an engineer and like a very nice guy, just pursuing other goals for so long, and now it's difficult to reverse and look for like love basically.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to enter into an agreement with someone and tell them, listen, this is what's going on. Like, I've got money. I know you need money, and I find you attractive and mildly interesting. Do you want to get married? And like, I want kids as well. Or that's something you discussed before. And she says, yeah, I want to do this, but I want 2 kids.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, that's fair, but I want to have sex every Thursday. And then she says, that's fair, but I want to go to a restaurant and I want to go overseas once a year.
Isn't that what every marriage is already?
Do you think that's what it comes down to?
Yeah. I think ultimately, like, isn't every interaction between any 2 people like
kind of
a game where you do you know game theory?
Yeah.
I love game theory. Super interesting. I have to read up on it way more. It's super interesting.
Yeah.
And I think if you know a bit about game theory and you start to see game theory being played out in every simple, small interaction, if you start to notice that, it blows your mind.
Yeah. No,
I mean, like, if you're conscious about it, you'll see it in everything. If you're not, you won't. But yeah, I think it's just less obvious and conscious in a marriage, maybe.
Yeah.
More subconscious. Still conscious in a way, but it's subconscious, not...
You think those principles are still at play?
I definitely do, yeah. I think everyone trades. It's the way we've been, like, well, I'm a pro-evolution person, so I'd say, like, that's the way we evolved.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were talking about this, actually, at that very same evening. We were talking about this concept of trading. And, I mean, if you look at us as a system, right? If you want to optimize the system, it might be at a point where everyone lives completely for the other. So you care a lot about other people and you live completely for them, right? But then what happens is, if one of the nodes in the system realizes, you know what, I can take as well. I don't need, then for that node, the optimal decision is to start taking, right? So then that node starts taking. Now, if you have all of those nodes with this inclination, then all of them will just start taking for themselves, and then it's just like pure competition. I believe we sit somewhere between this, like 2 extremes basically. So it's not useful to live completely for the other, but just in this transaction to just take as much as I can is also not optimal.
Yeah.
So you need to basically look at the system as a whole and look at, how do I see other people, like, where are they on this taking versus giving thing?
Yeah.
And that dictates to some extent how you should, like, the optimal way to live your life to some extent. Like, how much do I give and how much do I take? Because you need to sometimes take for yourself in order to give later.
Dude, I think this brings me to another topic, or brings us to another topic.
We're discussing a lot today.
Yeah.
Like, we're burning.
There's so many topics.
Yeah, no, it is
but
good
it's fine.
Because there's
I enjoy it.
Definitely, and there's never it's not like we're going to run out of things. I mean, just look at what's out there, right? There's
crazy.
That's what's so cool about the concept of onto something. Like, we're just gonna jump from thing to thing. There's always another thing to be onto.
The thing I was thinking about was selfish giving.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think you can split all people into people that realize they're selfish and try to do good with their selfishness.
Yeah.
And people trying to fight being selfish.
Okay, so people ignorant. Of this,
being good can't be the same thing.
I assume you're in the first camp.
Selfishness. Yeah, no, I'll be honest about it. Yeah, but I think there's 2. So, like, I think there's, but okay, let me say it in another way. There's people that believe selfishness can be, selfishness can exist in your mind at the same time as helping people, and there's people that believe that you can't have selfishness in you and help people at the same time.
Yeah. I like the term that you use, selfish giving. Like, that describes it very accurately to me. Like, it's you're doing it for other people, but you're getting something out of it. You're getting,
even if you know that you're in the, like, plus with that person, they have I owe you one for later.
Yeah.
Still, that gives you some hope for later. Whatever that gives you, you always get something out of whatever you give someone.
It's very difficult to have like a selfless act. Difficult. Like, how do you? It ties in with. I mean, I know you're into trading and shares and things as well. So there was this article by So the classic theory by Milton Friedman, I believe, was this thing of the shareholders are the only priority of the company. They have no obligation to community, to environment. That there's no obligation there. That's not why you don't start a company to help the environment. Then you start like an environmental movement. You start a company because you think you've got a way to make profits. This was his thinking. And then within that, you can help the environment. But it's exactly this point of what you just mentioned. You're helping them show your name.
Exactly. To show you're the good guy.
Exactly. But you're getting your branding out there. You can say, this is what we did.
Doing ads. If you clean up the environment, it's just a new form of doing ads.
So you clean up the environment, now you approach a country next, and they've heard what you've just done for, you've just saved 10 penguins on melting icebergs.
Dude, that's Elon Musk again. Just this week, I saw someone tweeted at Elon Musk, and they said there's this problem with turtles dying, whatever, and he was like, cool, SpaceX in that region will take care of it.
Exactly.
And that's an ad. It costs him something in money, but he doesn't care about money. He's the richest guy in the world. So but
it's an ad.
So he's doing ads by being a nice guy. He's getting free ads
because
in the whole world.
Now someone will write an article on that. There's probably already a few articles.
Definitely.
Elon Musk tweets he's going to save the turtles of Sao Paulo.
They already did actually, but
really?
Yeah.
So he tweets that. He does it not with the intent, the sole intention of getting an ad out, but it's also not selfless. He wouldn't have just given money behind the scenes to save turtles necessarily.
On the previous thing I said about people that think you can't do selfish giving, I think they're generally missing out on a lot of opportunities. Because if you start to realize how much you can get out of giving, you give more.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people that wants to be selfless actually ends up giving less than selfish people.
That is a very interesting theory. So once you start giving, you think you realize the value of that to such a large extent.
If you think selfishly, about everything that you give, what in total can I get out of this?
Yeah.
Of the process of the interaction with this person and the long haul, whatever. What can I get out of giving him a sip of my Coke, whatever?
Yeah.
If you think about it critically like that, you always get more if you give. So if you think about it selfishly, you end up giving more than the selfish people. That's my perception currently.
That is very interesting.
In general. It's not always the case. But I would say in general, that's what I'm observing.
And that's why people, a lot of spiritual leaders and religions in general have this theme of giving at its very core, serving and giving, because that's where happiness lies.
Yeah.
It's very, we're going to sound like a South African education podcast now, but it's this concept of, you know Ubuntu, right? Do you know what Ubuntu means?
I can't remember.
Ubuntu means, I am because you are.
Wow, that's cool.
And that's the sort of thing. So because I can acknowledge you as a person, I am a person. And I am by serving you, I am becoming as well. That's basically basically the concept you just described there. And whether you look at this, you're saying deep stuff now, but whether you look at this from a spiritual perspective, or whether you look at this from an economic game theory perspective, the answers are the same. The way you get to the outcome differs, but the answer is the same. I had this discussion, so that's why I'm a bit tired today. I talked with my dad and stepmom and stepbrother last night until 1 in the evening on topics like this. Giving is at the very core of who we are, right? And when you look at something like
I'd say that's because being social is quite
is at the very core of who we are. So when you look at all of these various spiritualities and religions and things, the one thing that constantly comes through is giving, and you will be happy.
Given you'll receive, or
Exactly.
there's a lot of that in
Yeah, a lot of that being carried through. And I think if you approach your life in that way, it instantly changes a lot, as you said. Like, you just start.
You can't interact with someone without giving something.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair statement. I do agree with that, because whether it's some of your time or your attention, or whether it's actual, like, there is a little bit that's being spent. And I mean, if you spend on the people around you, they, like, it comes back to you. It's like, that's the beauty of the node, and like, or the process, that it churns itself to some extent.
Yeah.
Like, you get these, but then suppose still you've got that broken node. I mean, I think there are people like that
That only want to take.
who only want to take.
Sure, but they have terrible lives generally.
I think so too.
Because they will always have less than people giving.
Yeah. No, well, less in what sense though? Because they might have more in terms of
I would say actually less in objective fulfillment.
Yeah.
Or purpose or success. Like, what?
However you measure that.
Yeah. So,
I mean that's why.
And that's you only, all of us, we only interact with people we know we can get something from. And it seems so selfish saying that, but I mean, that's the way it works. To be social with anyone, to interact with anyone, you have to give and take. That's the game we play, game theory.
But that's why you need to live your life in a way that when people interact with you and they walk away from interacting with you, they feel like, I've been treated, I've won. Because it can happen for two people to have an interaction, to walk away after that,
both
and
winning.
to both feel like they've won.
Exactly. I think that's the perfect friendship. Is if you can be like, what's the word, like a parasite. Like a parasite, but like a mutual. What do you call that?
Yeah, like
the two mutual parasites.
Yeah.
So both are getting something from each other, but both are giving something to each other, but both are getting enough that they're gaining more than they give.
Yes.
They don't mind losing whatever they're giving up to get the thing they want.
Yeah.
And
that's game theory again, to be honest, though.
It's kind of yin yang. So like, maybe you only need 10% of this and 90% of that. And I need the opposite. I need 90% of that, 10% of that. We'll have the perfect like relationship.
Brew, you know what you just made me think of there?
Yeah.
There's so many board games built around this principle. Like, if you think of like Catan.
Yeah.
That's basically that interaction.
Basically
like, I've got a bunch of wood, but I'm looking for someone who can give me some stone.
Yeah.
And that's maybe why these games are so popular, right? Because it's such a nice way of simulating life to some extent.
Yeah, that's so well said. Because I just wanted to say that's life. Life is playing the game. You don't have to play the game,
But you're never going to win.
but you're not going to have a life.
Yeah.
Like, playing the game is life. Those social interactions, playing those games with everyone else, that's life. You don't have to play it, but you want to have a life.
You want to have a fun time then. That is, I think this is, we've gone deep now, and I really like it. Yeah, so I mean, luckily we've solved the meaning of life on our very first episode. So I mean, after this, it can only go upwards. From here on, it can only get better. Thanks a lot for that chat, and I think it was a very insightful one, and we hope you enjoyed listening to us. Thanks everyone. We'll see you on another episode of Onto Something. Let us know what you want us to be onto next.